Hi, and welcome to Lights of the Round Table. My name is Susanna, and I am so excited that we're just days away from having former President Donald J. Trump's inauguration happening. I think that I'm excited because I have a feeling that the next 4 years, we're going to see a streaming of services. Government is going to be downsized. So who else than Sheriff Mack? He's been a constitutionalist. If you're not from our country, I'll tell you, he made the headlines back in the 90s with the Brady Bill, I believe it was. He contested it. There were a lot of clauses over there where the federal government went and told the sheriffs what to do. And thanks to the 10th Amendment, we needed to separate the powers between state and federal. So it went all the way to the Supreme Court. He and six other sheriffs, I believe it was, right, Sheriff Mack?
Yes,
So he
yes.
made history, and thanks to him, we've been able to keep some of our government constitutional, and we've been able to keep it there. So thank you for joining us. It's really an honor and a pleasure.
Well, thank you. The honor is all mine. I'm really glad to be with you at this very historical time in America.
It is indeed. I know that the last 4 years during this Biden administration, there has been a lot of controversies. I believe that, especially with migration issues, I believe, are you in Arizona, sir, still? Are you living in that area? And what has,
Yes, I live in the greater Phoenix area. I live in Gilbert, Arizona, which is about a suburb of Phoenix, about 25 minutes from downtown Phoenix.
I'm sure that
Uh,
you had a role playing during this time with immigration and voicing out your opinions and getting your sheriffs and educating people, right?
yes, very much so. And I would say the bottom line with the illegal immigration that has been promoted by this administration, the Biden-Harris administration, has been one of the worst things ever to happen to America. And now the new Trump administration is forced to have to deal with this and fix it because of the corruption of the Biden administration. So we've all got a lot of work to do because this isn't just on President Trump or Tom Homan. This is on all of us. This is our country. We, the people, have got to be engaged in this process.
So are you excited to have Tom Hogan coming? The border czar. Are you excited? And have you been working in the background um on have you had
Uh,
conversations, I guess, with him?
yes, Tom and I have been keeping in touch, and I met him about a year and a half ago, and I still have a copy of the interview. I did an interview with him back then. I still have that on my phone, and we need somebody tough, and he is that. But he's also fair and honest, and so I really look for good things from him, and I pray that the sheriffs of this country will also get involved in the deportation because no one knows the counties better than the sheriff, especially if he has a posse and they're all working with him and his people are working with him. Um, they can be the eyes and ears of the county and help get rid of the terrorists and gangs and cartels that have infiltrated America and have been uh, the bane of American liberty, and they've been the bane of peace and tranquility in our country. And so it's time to enforce the law. It's time to get rid of these people who have infiltrated our country, the terrorists and many others who absolutely hate America and want to destroy us. And what Biden did is gave them an opportunity to destroy us from within.
Yeah. Now, what I failed to mention in the very beginning as an intro, and I do have an international audience, is that after your success with the Supreme Court with that case, the Brady Bill, you went ahead and you started the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association.
Yes.
which you've been educating both citizens as well as sheriffs and other peace officers on the Constitution and the limitations of power. Um, I believe that you have seen already a lot of talk, um, not only with Trump, but I don't know if you were watching yesterday with the Pam Bondi's congressional hearing. You must be excited that there is actually a team that is going to work together, it sounds, with a plethora of in multi levels, I guess, between voting, immigration, bringing back law and order. I mean, you must be really excited. And I'm sure that you have been educating perhaps also on the evolution of technology to streamline this process that is multifaceted across the United States.
Well, yes, I am. And we all need to know and understand, though we might only have a 2 year window, even though his term is for 4 years. But midterm elections usually have been very historically uh, factual that the midterm elections do not support the current president, whoever that is. So we could lose the House and the Senate just in a couple of years. So we need to plan for that, and we need to focus our energy and concentrate that within the next year or two, we might not be able to do this again. So we really need to get busy. And I would tell you, I have a list of things that need to happen the first few days or the first few weeks, because some of it might take congressional action. But the first thing to me that really needs to happen is defund Planned Parenthood. First of all, you just mentioned, I have a national organization, and we help train law enforcement and public officials to protect the civil rights of all people. And that's a message right out of the book from Martin Luther King. That's what we preach. I talk about Rosa Parks. I have a quote from Martin Luther King in my presentation, and I show a video of Rosa Parks uh, where she was arrested for not giving her seat to a white man. Today, the Biden administration for the last 4 years has really gone after gun owners, law-abiding citizens, but they've really gone after gun owners. They've really gone after Amish farmers, destroying their farms, destroying their families, destroying their livelihoods, putting some of them in prison because they don't pasteurize their milk. And this could be solved so easily. But this government has become such a bully and so oppressive and abusive that they don't think anymore. They just want to bully people. And the Democrats said they're against bullying. Well, that's a lie. They're all for it, and they've done it. And so I hope that we can get government back to its original foundation and original intent. And that is small um, in, and limited powers. And they have very limited uh, uh, regulatory authority. And so if we would just keep our government within its boundaries, it will be better for everybody. It will increase the economy. It will increase initiative. It will increase peace and safety for everyone. And we are to run our own lives. The government is not supposed to run our lives, force us to get vaccinated, force us to wear masks, and run our farms and ranches for us. That's not what government was ever intended to be. So the first thing that needs to go is defund Planned Parenthood, and primarily because of this. I have a national organization, but it's not funded by the federal government. Taxpayers are not forced to pay to our organization, even though we protect civil rights. That's a good thing. But this corruption of forcing taxpayers to pay for the abortions of other people, and especially to a private organization that provides no government service whatsoever. So first on my list is Planned Parenthood. The next one is the IRS. The IRS and American liberty cannot coexist, and they haven't. And so Biden has armed them. They've got all the ammo and all this, and they've just turned them even worse than before. So the IRS and then the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is run by a bunch of private banks and bankers. They are
Mhm.
not part of the federal government. And the United States Constitution in Article 1, Section 8 says that Congress shall coin money and regulate the value thereof. Right now, a private banker does that. And they cannot abdicate that authority to a private organization or to private banks. And
Right.
so the Federal Reserve has got to go. That will increase the power of the dollar. That'll decrease inflation, and it'll get uh, Congress to do their job.
Well, you must be excited then to hear that Elon Musk has been quite vocal as far as defunding and getting rid of the IRS. That has been going on for quite some time last week.
Yeah.
And I think that also what's going to happen, and we know this, that as far as deregulations and in the finance and also the crypto is going to get regulated really well with common sense. And I think that this country, what really needs is going back to asset-backed currency, whether it's gold, silver, oil, whatever it is, in order to have parallel
Yes.
economies, uh, be all even level playing field. So I think that there's a lot of talk about those things. So yes, I concur with you. I think that we're going to have our government is going to be shrunk by a lot. So I was wondering whether or not you watch, and I wanted to share a moment, a video from Governor DeSantis. I think it was yesterday, the day before yesterday, concerning um, um, also illegal immigration ID, voting ID, and everything else. Let me share this video for you so you could comment on it.
You have to be a U.S. citizen to vote in Florida. So if you vote, you're not a citizen. We now have an election crimes unit in state government that goes after, and we've prosecuted people, and you should be prosecuted. Problem is, it shouldn't even come to that, right? So but when you sign up, you don't necessarily have to say when you check that box that you're a U.S. citizen. So if we change that, then anyone that checks it, if it turns out they're illegal, it doesn't even matter if they vote at that point. They have committed the offense. That is going to have a huge deterrent impact. You know, you go down to some of these areas. Like I remember one of the first people that was prosecuted who was illegal and voted. He admitted it. And he said, you know, in Broward County, they told me I could vote, that it didn't matter. No, it matters. And so changing this will further discourage anybody who's not a Florida resident and U.S. citizen for voting. We also want to increase penalties for illegal aliens that commit voter fraud or provide false voter registration information when trying to vote. Again, if people know they're going to be held accountable, they're going to be much less likely to do it. Another way to reduce incentives. So what happens is people will come illegally because they can work more menial tasks, but make a lot more money in the U.S. than they can in like a third world country. So they'll come, make money, and then they send money back in remittances to the host, to their family, friends, wherever, to the home country. We are going to impose ID verification for foreign remittances. So you have to show, it's like an e-verify for remittances. The money transfer company has got to run you through to make sure that you're lawfully able to be in the country and to send money outside of our country. That will be a huge deterrent for people coming to the state of Florida illegally. I think the Trump administration is going to do something on remittances, but I think they may need Congress to do some of that, and who knows whether Congress will ever do anything. So we have an opportunity to do it here in Florida, I think in a way that makes a lot of sense. And then finally, bail and flight risk presumptions. We want a rebuttable presumption that illegal aliens are in fact flight risks and deny them bail when they are brought up on charges.
So,
That's great.
yeah. So I think you have two of your favorite sheriffs over there. I think you know them personally.
Uh, I don't know Grady Judd very much. I've never met him, but Wayne Ivey from Brevard County, he's the sheriff there. He's been there quite some time. I endorsed him when he first ran about 15 years ago. He is a good man. I really like what Grady Judd does, but he's not too involved with us at the constitutional sheriffs. But I really hope that he will. He's very popular, and he's one of the best lawmen in the country. I would really love to add a dose of the Constitution to what he does and what he believes and who he is, because I really think he's a good man.
Yeah, what do you think of the proclamation? Actually, that became a proclamation from DeSantis just 2 days ago, and they're going to go to the House next Friday on the 27th, January 27th. They're going to have special session to pass all these 10 proclamations. I mean, that must be good news for you.
It is because there's far too many states that are actually helping illegal aliens get driver's licenses and thus get registered to vote. Yeah, Minnesota is doing a horrible job at that because they've been letting all illegal aliens get driver's licenses. Um, I think Illinois is doing it. California has been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, but don't you think that with Florida announcing and having a special a session to pass this.
Oh
And of
yeah.
course, Florida is Trump country, as we say it. Um,
Yeah.
I don't you see that there's going to be probably a shift, an immediate shift, and actually an engagement and embracing this kind of policies throughout other states and sheriffs and communities alike. I mean, I think this could be
Yeah.
that win-win solution that provides that sort of relief with everybody working on blockchain. Wouldn't you see that happening pretty soon? Because that really resolves a plethora. Illegal immigration, no voting, residency, the whole
Right.
9 yards. Everything is cleared just like that. And therefore, you no longer have this issue with voter integrity issues because you are no longer, unless you're American. So I think that there's a lot of good
Well,
things coming into play that could be
yeah.
resolved in within 24 months or less.
Right. And I agree. And I think it's great that Governor DeSantis did that. He's got lawmen standing at both sides of him. That looks great. They're sheriffs. Um, we've been pushing this for a long time, and that sheriffs, counties, and states uh, can do this on their own. They don't have to ask permission from the federal government, and that we can actually take now. But with Trump's help, this should go exponentially faster and easier. But it doesn't matter who the president is. We could have been doing this the whole time under the Biden administration because the sheriffs don't report to the federal government. The federal government can't tell sheriffs what to do. And that's exactly what we won at the United States Supreme Court back in June of 1997 with our lawsuit. The only time in United States history where sheriffs sued the federal government and won a case at the United States Supreme Court. And this little booklet is a copy of the highlighted version of the case. So all the best parts of the case are in this little booklet.
Mhm.
It fits right in your shirt pocket. It's only 16 pages long. Every American should have this book in their home and in their car and in their purse. And you should be getting bunches of these. Look, you get 3 of these for $5 and then pass them around. Get a bunch of them and pass them around. And you should make sure your sheriff gets one, but you should make sure that county commissioners and city councils and mayors and local attorneys all get this so that we're on the same page here about knowing that the federal government is not the boss of the states and that we can take back America county by county, state by state.
But
And
don't
this is a huge opportunity for all of us now that we have Trump helping us in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, but don't you think that the elections actually sort of I mean, he won by a landslide and we got the Senate,
Yes.
we got actually the House, but it was whatever it is. So it's just I think that there's a lot of I think the infrastructure is going to be key to at least expediting all what needs to be done. So we all are one voice. Everybody's on the even level playing field. We need collaboration, cooperation between states in order
Yep.
to be able to get rid of a lot of things. And I think that's the beauty of it all. I mean, to me, the message is not so much, yes, we're going to go back to to a constitutional republic. yes, I can see the possibilities of reducing enormously our the government, the federal government, return the power to the states. I see that, but you know, when you put little things like today, IBM acquire application software technology, bolstering Oracle expertise to help clients transform their operations. You may not understand this, but how I read it is, hey, IBM acquire this service, Oracle's, and basically, when you read the quick press release that came out today, basically what it means is that, for example, the legacy, the infrastructure, the legacy infrastructure in education and government is going now to be in the cloud. Therefore, you'll be able to then have a much better collaboration, and we can go to streamline a lot of the processes. So we don't have to hire somebody to just stamp and take their own sweet time, install a lot of the processes. For example, arresting. You know, I mean, there's so many inefficiencies that I see that the only way to move forward is to actually have an evolution where it's both finance and structuring a modernized government system that can help us then not have to depend with so many hands. I mean, I sometimes I
Yeah.
feel like we're going on a wheel. You know, we're still in a
Mhm.
carriage on a wheel and not going on a super jet like we should be on
Yeah.
government, you know, when you think of government. So I think that should be very um, interesting and actually
Yeah.
embracing for you because you've been educating sheriffs around the world, I mean, around the
Of
country.
course.
So you must have
Yeah.
known that we are also in in the cusp of actually introducing a lot of things that need to be streamlined and help you and help
Yeah.
everybody become a lot more efficient, not spending so much money and expedite things that are just transparent and provides a security to
Well,
the local
yeah.
local person
And
citizen.
what we do at the CSPOA is for all people. And so I've done some international shows. I've actually done a seminar once in Fiji. So,
Nice place.
but I've done shows out of Japan and several out of London, a few out of Australia, and one or two out of Canada. So it is international, and I know you have an international audience, and so I hope that people understand. Everyone in the world can join us, can donate to us, get our books, and especially the Supreme Court decision. This is available at cspoa.org. That's our website. It's all about restoring the Constitution, just as you said earlier, restoring our constitutional republic. This is what this is what America was meant to be, and that is a system of self-governance where the playing field is equal for everyone, and that there are no kings, and that there's no oligarchs, and that the purpose of all government is to secure our rights. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. That didn't say just in America. That said to the world. And the rest of the governments in the world need to understand. You exist to protect the people. You exist to protect the rights and the freedoms of the people that they were born with. And this doesn't matter what religion you are. It matters what you understand to be your duty to protect the people. First, keep us safe, and second, keep us free. And there is no safety without freedom. And there is no peace without freedom. And every person in this world has a right to run their own life and not bow down to an oppressor or a king or a dictator. Haven't we learned from history and from World War II that we fought and dedicated our lives for people to be free of all races, religions, and colors? And so, if you're a worldwide uh, program, then I have to ask you a question there. First of all, uh, I have submitted an application to be the ambassador of El Salvador. And so if Presidente Bukele, if you're listening, or anyone else in El Salvador, or anyone that knows the Trump administration, please get a hold of them and let them know that I want to take my wife and move to El Salvador, San Salvador, la capital de El Salvador. And I would love to work there and help what President Bukele is doing to restore freedom and peace and the rule of law in El Salvador. So if anybody on here has any connections with those, put in a good word for Sheriff Mack to be the ambassador to El Salvador.
Well, it was President Bukele is one of my favorite presidents, I think, out there, Milei too. And Bukele has been an example. He really rounded up those gangs. They were on they were photographed. It shocked the world. I mean, talk about a tiny little country that had decades of not only gangs, but they were in war. I mean, that area has been back in the 80s, I think it was. So I am very, very happy for that country. I do have some dear friends. So
I
it's
actually
really
served a
good.
mission to El Salvador when I was a kid in the early 70s.
Good coffee
So
too.
now you know how old I am.
By the
But
way, well,
yeah,
let me mention. I mean, what do you think then about Trump coming up and say, "Hey, Canada, come and join us"? And now he wants to buy Greenland, calling the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of
Gulf of
America.
America.
I mean, you must be elated with some of these things because
I don't care if
really,
he changes the name. It doesn't matter to me. But it's kind of nice to hear the name America. And that's kind of fluff. So I don't really care about that. But I would love to have Greenland become a part of the United States. Also, he's absolutely correct about the Panama Canal. We paid for that. And
yes,
many Americans paid with their lives trying to get that most amazing transportation uh, uh, boon available to the world. And that was a bunch of talk until America went down there and got it done. And Jimmy Carter had no authority to just give that away. And there should be some nice negotiation to put that back to the people who actually built it and who really owned it. And so that we sold that to Panama for $1.
hmm
No, that's that sounds pretty insane.
insulting,
But
I would say.
But it is, yes, it is. It is. And it belongs to America. But we don't want it to be shut down and controlled by the CCP. And it needs to be there for everyone. And if it's under the control of America, it will be. And so I would love to very much see that happen. And how much time and effort needs to go into those when we have all these other problems that we've got to solve? But we've got to get the criminal element out of America that has infiltrated our country the last 4 years. And for mayors and governors to say they will fight that, do you realize what they're saying to their
Mhm.
constituents? We want more gangs here. We want more crime here. We want more attacks on women. We want more attacks on our police. We want more fentanyl. We want more inflation. And we want more terrorists.
Yeah.
How could anybody say that? You see, they're putting Democrat Party ahead of our own country, the safety and security of our nation, the safety and security of the people that they're hired to protect. And so I don't get this. This has gotten way too far. Everyone, Democrat and Republican alike, and maybe we need to get rid of the party system so that we're just Americans trying to work together. But this is crazy. And
Yeah.
and I think the two-party system, George Washington said, it would be the bane of American liberty, and it has been. And the Republicans are just as bad sometimes as the Republican Democrats. The
Sure.
Democrats are usually worse than the Republicans when it comes to freedom issues. But when it comes to spending and supporting the IRS, they both have been very culpable. And that's why this Republican administration, the Congress of the United States, had better get in there and do the job that we voted them to do.
How soon do you think, or what have you seen out there as far as orchestrating, organizing, contacting between sheriffs, ICE, all these agencies, interagencies that have to do with law enforcement. What has been the climate there in the last, let's say, since Trump won the election? I'm sure that there has been a lot of talk in the behind the scenes as to what needs to be, what's going to trigger the first, the green light. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I'm sure you have some insights on that.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I speak with sheriffs just about every day from one place or another, and most of the sheriffs want to help and they want this to happen. Um, they're tired of the crime. They're tired of having to pick up after Joe Biden and his corruption, and they want the people in their communities protected. And the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, is now threatening to sue sheriffs in Colorado who try to help Tom Homan with deportation. That's absolute insanity. It's nonsense. Um, and the ACLU is just showing their colors. They're just another branch of the Democrat Party. If you're really talking about civil rights, folks, then you want to get rid of crime. You don't want people subject to gangs and terrorists and cartels and human trafficking. How could the ACLU do that? But I'm going to tell the ACLU, we will fight you because you're on the side of criminals. And there is nothing in there anywhere in this country that says that sheriffs cannot voluntarily help federal government combat crime. If First of all, I had a contract when I was sheriff with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. That was up to me to have that contract. Yes, the county had to sign off on it too. But if I had said no, it wouldn't have happened. I said no to the Brady Bill and sued and won. But the reason we won is because the federal government didn't have the authority. But any sheriff can voluntarily go along with them. Any sheriff can take federal grants, which I think are illegal, but they can take them because they can work with the federal government. And the ACLU and the governor of Colorado and the mayor of Denver, they are totally out of their minds because they have no business telling sheriffs what to do. In San Diego County, the county commissioners voted 3-1 to have no one in the county help with deportation. Sheriff Kelly Martinez came out and said, I don't answer to you. I answer to the people in my county. You're not my supervisors. You're not my boss. And if I want to help ICE, I will. If I want to help Tom Homan, I will. And that's absolutely true. I left her a message saying, good job, Sheriff Martinez. You're absolutely correct. The ACLU or the courts cannot tell sheriffs they can't help get rid of criminals and as such a dangerous thing in our community. This is how stupid it's gotten. And I don't care what agency it is. If the sheriffs want to help you, whether it's good or bad, the sheriffs can do that. They don't answer to anybody except to the voters.
All right. Well, let me ask you another question because perhaps people don't quite comprehend overseas. There's a difference between being a sheriff, constitutional sheriff, and then you have all these enforcers or enforcement, the police, that are all abiding the U.S. code. Now, U.S. code is not constitutional. So how do you see the process in the future? Is there going to be a downsizing of these departments across the United States?
Well, I hope there's a big downsizing of federal law enforcement because they have no authority. The FBI has stolen authority they were never allowed to have constitutionally. And this is another thing sheriffs need to be aware of. And we train in this. There's only 5 law enforcement powers that the states delegated to the federal government. And that's a key word. It's right out of the 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States government remain with the people or to the states. And so this is an extremely powerful, that's why this case is so powerful. It reinforces exactly your question, because it's going to be up to the sheriffs to create the barriers and erect the barriers against the tyranny of the federal government, the tyranny of the state governments, wherever it comes from. And maybe it's going to be a lot better. I believe it is under Trump. But 4 years from now, who's going to be the president? Who knows? The pendulum swings to the left or the right, but the sheriffs need to stand in the middle and protect their citizens regardless of what party's in power. And right now, for sheriffs to compromise the liberty of their people because of politics or because they want to keep their pay, their salaries, and their pension plans, that's absolute trash thinking. Because any sheriff that would compromise the liberty of his people for his own pay, well, that's just being a political prostitute, just like the thousands we have already in Washington, D.C. We have too many political prostitutes in this country already, and we don't need any more. And we need the sheriffs of this country, along with the chiefs of police, who have also likewise sworn an oath in God's name to uphold and defend the Constitution. I am absolutely appalled and ashamed at chiefs of police and peace officers in this country and some sheriffs who refuse to keep their oath of office and don't even know why they took it. Well, we need to find that out. But one thing that we need to add to this are the people of this country. Your sheriff works for you, and he needs to hear from you. And the chief of police and the mayor and the city council, they need to hear from you. And we need to, the solution for all of this, for the Trump administration, for the states, for the counties, for the sheriffs, and for you and me, Susanna, the solution is not if we move forward. The solution is behind us. It's in our history. It's at Independence Hall. And we, as a collective people, have got to get back to Independence Hall and restore our Constitution.
Amen. Constitutionalist. Thank you so much for so many years of working so hard and be the voice of our Constitution and our republic.
Thank you,
Thank you
Susanna.
very much.
It's a pleasure. Let's do it again.